Welcome to practice today. You might want to find a blanket, a cushion off of your couch, or even a pillow from your bed, as well as anything that you could use as a yoga block. I have two here for practice. If you don't have them, that's fine. We can use a pillow or a rolled up blanket. I also have a bolster that I can show you how to use during the practice. So from here, we'll begin our time by finding ourselves in constructive rest. So gently resting here, flat on the back. You want to make sure that the shoulder blades are gently softening towards each other and down the back. The arms, kind of just find a spot where it feels most delicious. The main piece here is that your feet are sitting bones distance apart. And once you find that, that's actually a bit narrower than your hips width. So you want to have this just gentle rooting down through the feet. And then the hard part, the hardest part of this particular posture is to just rest. And notice here whether your eyes want to be open or closed. If you're feeling kind of low energy, I'll recommend that you keep your eyes open, preferably on a space where it's not moving. So maybe the ceiling or a plant or anything in the space that you're practicing in that has a sense of stillness to it. And already here you might start to notice the inner line, the inner thighs, even up into the hip joint or around into the back of the glute. You may start to feel some shaking. And that's actually great. We want that. That is your body's natural elimination here of tension and stress and strain. You might feel it in the actual femur itself. You may feel the whole engagement of the upper leg starting to shake. And I highly recommend here that you let this happen. It feels weird, it's odd. The body wants to fight it, or the mind actually wants to fight it. But as you soften here, just let any shaking start to happen. And you might find that you want to kind of flop your legs open and notice what it feels like to try to control and then try to let go. And if that's not a metaphor for life, I don't know what is. So just see what the experience is as it unfolds. You may find that one side of your legs or your body is shakier than the other. And just rest here. Notice how, especially in the privacy of your own space, how it might be easier here to let go. It might be more of a supportive environment than, say, in a group setting. But all of that same awareness applies. In the moment here, whatever the experience is, can you allow it to be? Can you witness it in the depth of the experience? And again here, we're gently just breathing ourselves. We're witnessing the body breathe itself. So there's no work that you need to do here. No need to control anything in the moment. And we'll take about 3 to 4 more rounds of breath here. Just let yourself do this. And this posture, constructive rest, is one of the greatest things to do on a daily basis. To let yourself soften, maybe at the end of your work day or any time that you have, 3 to 5 minutes. Just take a break and allow your body to release whatever it's gripping onto, whatever tensions and strains the psoas and the vagus nerve have held on to for the day, for the week. Maybe you've never done this before. It's quite remarkable. And then when you're ready here, go ahead and bring your hands to your belly. Let's widen the feet about mat width apart. And find that opposite experience, just letting the knees fall towards each other. And let your shoulders soften. Maybe you'll find it helpful either to have the hands on the belly or the hands off the mat, off to the side. Cactus arms feels really nice in my body today. So I'm going to hang out there. And we'll begin to find our Ujjayi breath in through the nose and out through the nose. And the same awareness applies here. Now that we're in control of the breath, witness how it unfolds. If anything, being incredibly inquisitive of your own experience is really going to help create a one-pointed focus and concentration. It's really easy to just mindfully not be present. So what we're going to try to do is be as mindful in each moment as we can be. Not in the sense of the physical piece has to be perfect, but just the witnessing of the awareness of the breath. And that's the thread, the sutra that ties us throughout the whole practice of coming back again and again and again, gently coming back to the way that your focus draws you to center, to witnessing the present moment as it unfolds for you again and again and again. And when you're ready, we'll bring the feet back to hips width apart and just kind of wiggle around to make sure your sacrum feels settled there. And we'll draw the right knee towards the right shoulder. If this grip below the knee itself is cranky into the knee joint, clasp at the back of the thigh. And that can sometimes feel really, really nice. Good. And there's a gentle but constant pressure here of the right thigh drawing towards the right shoulder. Left shoulder drawing down. And then very gently start to check into this left leg. Maybe it feels like it's kind of fainting out to the left. You might want to start to gently engage the inner line, the adductor, the adductor that draws the thighs towards each other. And that's actually going to start to refine your alignment. So one way to think about this is that besides massaging into the ascending colon, we're also refining the alignment of the pelvis. So I could really pull hard on this right hip, which throws the alignment of the pelvis out. It pulls that right sitting bone up instead of drawing the sacrum to the ground. So find a little bit of core here. So press your sacrum to the floor and press so you'll feel that engages the core a little bit more, which challenges the depth of breathing. Again, main thing, breath is the main piece. And then notice if it feels good, you can start to scooch that left leg out and maybe along the mat. But we're still finding a bit of core pressing down. The left quad, left calf muscle can engage. Left foot flexes, toes spread out. And then again, dial that right sitting bone, gently turn it towards your left inner thigh, and make sure that your pelvis is parallel to the ends of your mat. One more big inhale here. And exhale, draw that right thigh towards the right shoulder, left shoulder down. And then flex your right foot. We'll take the right leg up to the ceiling, release the hands back down. And as we flex the foot, you might want to micro bend the knee, or if you need to for the hamstring, find the most comfortable position and press your lower back down. So I'll show you initially with the left leg down. All we're going to do is kind of make little circles in the joint. So imagine you've got a polishing cloth on the sole of your right foot and you're just polishing a little circle on the ceiling. Now, if your lower back says no thanks, this is uncomfortable, bend the left knee, and that really helps drop into the sacrum and into the core.
So find whatever place works best, then let your arms rest. So a few more circles here. Don't worry if it feels like you're making a square or a hexagon, and we'll change directions. It's very interesting to notice how the proprioception engages in the body. So we're always trying to make multiple points of contact, not only in the foundation of the pose, but for the brain. So just watching that big toe, fire up the calf, the quad, squeeze the muscles of the leg. Good. And we'll change legs. Right foot comes down. Feet or hips distance apart. Negotiate. Notice if you felt your pelvis was a little out of line, it can get interestingly confused. And we'll draw that left thigh in. Again, grab either below the kneecap or at the back of the hamstring. And that right shoulder pulls back down. Check into your jaw. Notice if there's any tightness. Good. And allow yourself this opportunity to really let the neck and jaw and maybe even the eyes rest. This gentle but constant pressure of drawing the thigh towards the left shoulder as well as into the left side of the rib cage. So we're getting a good massage into the descending colon. And then notice here either that right thigh drawing in, the pelvis, the sacrum pressing down. There's a tiny bit of awareness of bearing down through the core, and maybe that right leg slides out. As you change the alignment in the body, see what happens. My left shoulder's trying really hard to help. So just check into what's working here that actually doesn't need to. I've been working some left trap and vertebrae issues after I had a suitcase fall on my head in an airplane. That was dynamic, but it's really interesting to see what happens in the body, how the body compensates. And then with more awareness, noticing the breath and settling into this experience of the way the body is in the moment and what you can do to either soften or engage. And we'll take a few more rounds of breath here. Fire down that right quad, flex the right foot, calf muscle, toes spread. Right shoulder finds itself down again if it can. And then gently flex the left foot. Take the leg up to the ceiling. Release the arms back down. Notice what feels best in your body. And then micro bend that left knee. Fire up the hamstring, the quad, the glute. And then we'll start to make little circles. And if this is your non-dominant side, it might feel like all of a sudden you're back in kindergarten. You're having to relearn the movement. And that's fascinating. Big inhales and exhales. And remember too, if it's cranky in the back, you can bend the right knee to help find the rooting down of the core. And take my leg back out. Let's change direction on that left leg. If this is your yoga practice after a workout or a bike ride or a run today, your legs may have a bit of commentary about what's happening. So just notice, be aware of what signals and information are coming into the body, but not the commentary of the mind. That's always a big one. And let's bring that left leg back in real quick. Draw it in. And we'll meet the right leg up towards the shoulders. And we'll roll gently from side to side. And let's get a little bit of glute and some opening across the lower back before we make our way to hamstrings and hip flexors. Left foot comes down. Right ankle crosses in front of the left knee, so the figure four posture. And some days, this might be it, and that's perfectly fine. Other days, maybe if you're feeling super tight in the glute, you can put your left foot on the block. You can even do this against a wall, which is really nice, but very intense as well. So find where your clasp feels better, either at the shin or at the back of the hamstring, that right arm tucked through the triangle of the legs. And let's keep that right foot flexed to protect the right knee. And just notice here, settle the length of the spine. Notice if your lower ribs are pushing up, can you press them back down? And as you work here, shoulders are broadening. Jaw and face are soft. And it's a gentle but constant pressure to open up across that right glute. Now, really sweetly, we're going to roll to the right. Little bit of roll, little kind of taking the legs off center. Roll to the right, really slowly bring it back to center, and a little roll to the left. Not big, your right glute might bite you. Back to the right, and into center, and then to the left. And then over these next rounds of breath, see what happens. You might notice already that moving those legs to the left is a big moment in that right glute, in the insertion point there in your right glute. There's a lot going on. Some of us may even feel it kind of up over the hip joint into the line of the obliques, some of us even in the QL. So please be gentle here. Just kind of noticing. And if this rocking back and forth feels like it should be for the birds, then don't do it. Just notice what's best in your body. Keep listening to your breath. Keep moving your breath. And then once again, we'll draw that left thigh towards the left shoulder. And then take the left leg up to the ceiling. Both legs up. Roll the ankles around. Just kind of feel and notice what's happening here. And we'll very gently take ourselves to the other side. So we bend the right knee, left ankle in front of that right knee. Left foot can flex, nice and easy, left arm through the triangle of the legs and clasp at the back of the right hamstring. Check into your jaw, notice if there's any tightness there, broaden across the collarbones. And make sure one thing is if you have a ponytail that you're not in a funky neck position just because of the ponytail. This will be kind of a mellow class, so you could always take your ponytail out of the way or shift or adjust it as you need. So draw that right shoulder down, left shoulder down, right knee towards the right shoulder. Big inhale here. And just very softly, we'll start by rolling to the left this time. And then gently to the right, nice and slow. Good, and back and forth, from side to side. Again, if this is too much in your left glute, please don't force it. Stay in the stillness experience, which sometimes is actually harder. We know that in those moments when thinking mind is super busy and then it's time to go to sleep, what happens? All of a sudden, every thought we've ever had in our entire life decides to go off at the same time. So sometimes when the physical body finally reaches stillness, thinking mind throws a party. So just notice these moments. Notice these experiences of finding the most delicious expression here. It doesn't mean that it's not hard work. It just means bringing some mindfulness into the experience and not forcing the body in the moment. Good. Let's take one more gentle rock from side to side. And coming back to center, we'll gently draw that right thigh a little closer towards the chest. Elongate the back of the neck. And feel free to adjust yourself as long as you need to, or as in any way as you need to. As we move further into practice, we start to open up places that maybe we're holding short or tight. So just let yourself kind of wiggle around when you need to. Good, and we'll take the right leg up. Left leg comes up. Just let the legs just kind of roll the ankles around a little bit. Find some movement here. Good. Get all those snap, crackle, pops out of the ankles and the toes. And we'll draw the knees down and we'll roll to one side and press up gently and come all the way over onto hands and knees. So check into your wrists here. And remember, as we move from hands and knees into other elements, at any point if your wrists start to get tired, couple things. You can take your thumbs, tuck them into the palm, make a fist around it. That actually can feel pretty good sometimes in the wrists, or your thumbs can be out. Or at any point, you could have your forearms down on the ground and do everything that we're going to do from the forearms. I'll show you from the palms. So the hands are shoulder width apart, knees are right below the hips, and we'll begin a few rounds of cat-cow. So tilting the pelvis, lengthening the front of the spine, shoulders back, inhaling. Exhaling, rounding through. And remember, this might be the first movement that you do in your day. So no force. Allow the posture to unfold. Allow the warmth to move along the spine. Remember, too, that we're inviting the breath to begin the movement. So there's this nano moment as the breath begins. The body waits, pauses in that nanosecond, and then catches up. So we'll take 5 more full rounds of breath here. Please, at your own pace, whatever pace that is in the moment. 5 more rounds. One more full round of breath here. And at the end of that exhale, widen the knees and make your way towards child's pose, either putting a block or something underneath the hips as they come down. If you're working with a headache or the worry of a headache, you can always prop yourself here, either forehead on the hands or on a block or on a bolster. If your head feels fine, then maybe invite yourself to the mat. And then find what's most comfortable, what is most delicious in your body. The forehead can rest on the mat, or maybe it turns to one side. If you do turn your head here, we'll take 3 rounds of breath on this side, and then change the direction of the head on the last 3 rounds. And bring awareness into the back of your lungs. Really give yourself the opportunity here to make space in the back of your lungs. If you've already done a workout for the day, you might be feeling like, oh, I'm going to just stay here for the rest of practice, and I feel ya. So if that's your choice, go with it. Do what your body needs you to do. You should be about 2 more rounds of breath left here, so your head needs to turn if it hasn't already. Check into the jaw, softening the face. extending the spine a little more if you can. And then slide your hands again back under the shoulders. We'll press back up onto hands and knees. And from here, we'll take the rooting down through the left shin, belly is in, right leg goes back. Press down through the top of your right foot. And as we do 2 more rounds of cat-cow here, you may feel this mostly on this exhale. So as you exhale, hands root down. Top of the right foot pushes down. You round the spine up. Good. One more. And really press down through the hands and that right foot. And then inhale. Lift the right leg. We'll flex the right foot back. And exhale. Pull the right foot forward towards the right hand. And this is where either a cushion or your blocks comes in handy. Had to get that out of the right ankle there. And we'll find a gentle lunge here. Press down into your right foot. If you need a pad for your left knee, please do that. Deep lunge towards that right foot. Inhale, lift your chest. Shoulders come back. On your exhale, very gently take your hips back. So we'll find some hamstring. You may need to slide that right foot forward a little bit. Inhale, lunge through, scooping the chest and belly up. Exhale, taking it back. And we'll go 5 more rounds here. Just moving with the breath. Keeping the foundation of the posture firmly to the ground to let the lightness come up through the lift. Good, so we want to find this work back and forth. The rhythmic movement is very soothing to the nervous system, as well as this gentle front of the body opening in this left hip flexor, even the left quad. You can deepen it by pushing your left shin down more. Last one for this set. And we'll take a pause in the hamstring stretch and allow some length to roll through. A couple things to check into. Maybe you dial the pelvis a little more precisely, and notice if you feel like you're rounding over that right leg. Micro bend the right knee as much as you need so that you can get long through the spine. We want to try to really firm the core in and pull the length of the spine away from the lower back. Spreading out through the right toes. You can't see it because of the block, but those toes are spread. Push into the left shin. Get long through your spine. Last big inhale here. And exhale, we'll slide that right foot back a little bit. Lunge forward. Bring your left hand down. If that's too much in the glute, you can always use your block. The block to lift the floor to you is really lovely. So whatever feels best in your body, I'll show you with the block on the lowest setting. And then from here, we're going to get long through the spine. Option 1 is the arm can go forward. Option 2, the hand on the shoulder. That's actually nice when the shoulder has some crankies. Mine are kind of cranky right now. Inhale forward with the elbow, up and back. You might hear some clicking. It's my shoulder forward, up and back. You can start to add a wee bit of a twist. Inhale forward, up and back. Good. And we'll release back out of that posture, back into child's pose, but we'll add a little bit to child's pose. Toes can come towards each other, hips can go back. See if you can make this more active on this one. So the hands can push down into the blocks, and make sure that instead of rolling the shoulders inward, there's a bit of an external rotation. You may even find it helpful to take your thumbs towards the ceiling and even continue to externally rotate as much as you can. So there's a gentle, constant pressure down with the palms. If this is aggravating into your shoulders, please don't do it. Just give your shoulders a chance to rest. Everybody breathing into the back of the lungs, settling, softening wherever you can. So you may be in the dance of half engaged and half softening, active versus passive. See what feels most supportive in your body in the moment. One more round of breath here. And then root down through the palms again, belly in, back up onto hands and knees. Hands below the shoulders, knees below the hips. Inhale, take the top of the left foot back. And again, 3 rounds of cat-cow. So we inhale, shoulders back, pelvis tilts forward. Exhale, round your spine. Pull your belly in, push that left foot to the floor. Inhale again. By pressing the top of the foot down, we're really finding a bit more opening up through the upper chest. You kind of fire into the upper back. Good. One more. And exhale, round. Inhale, lift the left leg. And exhale, bring the left foot forward towards the left hand. If you have your blocks close by, you may need to slide them out of the way. And we'll find a little bit of a lunge to begin here. And really zipper up through the groin, the belly, and the core. The chest lifts. Long spine. Find the right shin pushing down here. There's a lot of ways to make this more engaging in the right quad and hip flexor. You could always tuck your right toes underneath you. If you didn't do that on the other side, then just keep the top of the foot down. Dig into the left heel. Lift your chest. Inhale. And we'll start to take the hips back to open out that hamstring. Good. And if this is your tight side, don't listen to thinking mind. If there's commentary and judgment, thank it and let yourself come back to the present moment experience of moving through the breath. Notice if there's any areas of your body, any habit patterns of holding. Maybe the shoulders, maybe the jaw, the mouth, the tongue, the eyes. And we've got one more round of breath here before we pause in the stillness of the posture in the hamstring stretch. So settle in here. Notice how the spine is doing. Maybe you slide blocks underneath you a bit more. Maybe raise the blocks. If this side needs a little more support, totally fine. I caught myself cheating just a second ago here. My right hip had kind of dialed off towards the right side of the mat. So kind of keep checking into that alignment. When we find tightness in the body or discomfort, we tend to create new patterns of holding so that we don't feel it. And that's where we start to get really inquisitive. Is there any elements in the body right now that are holding that actually don't need to? Maybe that work of holding is slowing us down from softening. Just breathing deeply here. And it's hard in these big muscle groups, hamstring, calf, glute, even up into the back. By really marinating in the depth of the sensation, we really bump into our own places of mental discomfort. I know that in my experience, when I feel like going, oh no, not going there, that's usually a really big place of growth. Let's take one more round of breath here and stay with the sensation of your breath. That's the most potent piece right there. And we'll slide forward and lunge towards that left foot. Good. And then slowly lift your chest. And then slide that block wherever it feels best. If you're not using a block or don't have a block, that's fine too. You could either do flat palm or you could do Hasta Bandha, balance up on the fingers. That's actually really good work for your wrists. And then we'll inhale, take that left arm forward, either letting the neck stay disengaged from the pose or really find the length with the gaze and the arm. And on this side, I'll show you with the left arm open, big movement, big sweeping movement here. We want to really make opening and pulling both shoulder blades back. Maybe the hand is on the shoulder so that we're kind of isolating into the joint. That elbow bent kind of helps take some of the tension out. And very gently release that left hand back. Take the knees back, wide stance. And this time, if you use your hands on the blocks in the last child's pose, maybe find the highest or the next highest setting for child's pose here. Couple things going on. We're kind of drooping the torso to the floor, but without compromising the back and the shoulder joint. So I invite you to kind of draw the shoulder blades down the back a little. Thumbs gently start to spin upward. And the breath fills the lungs and softens the jaw and the face. Again, just notice here, what is working? What is guiding you through the moment-to-moment experience? And if that moment-to-moment experience has fragments of thinking minds, adventures, doing this, doing that, doing your taxes, what needs to happen for the rest of the day, that is completely normal. But give yourself this opportunity during practice to really sink in and notice the absolute magnificence of each element, each texture and nanosecond of your inhale, and the same exquisite nature of your exhale. And from here, we'll firm the belly, press the shins down, come back up onto hands and knees, and very gently just come onto your bottom, and we'll sit and work a little bit of core work. So from here, I've been really enjoying working from the base of Navasana boat pose and finding lots of different ways to play with this to deepen the work and to soften the work. So we'll begin by wiggling out through the sit bones, making sure that we feel balanced into the pelvis, then lifting the groin, lifting the belly, lifting the chest. That lifting of the groin is the same muscular engagement that you would use to stop yourself from going to the bathroom. And we'll gently rock back onto the heels. Now, option one, if your back is cranky, please keep your hands back here. There's a lot of work happening right here. So you don't actually need to go any further. But if you do feel like going further, and again, the groin, the belly, and the chest are lifting, shoulders are trying to come back, you can start to bring your hands either underneath the back of the thighs, and we'll step by step move through a series of working with the abs. So from here, lift up through the chest. Now we're holding on to the thighs so that we don't fall backwards. But from here, try not to use arm strength to gently lift that right leg. Doesn't have to be high. There's an awareness of drawing the thighs towards each other.
You'll feel this a lot in the hip flexor, tall spine. Inhale. And exhale, bring it down. Again, hands can be back here to do the same thing. I'll show you on this one. Exhale, lift the left leg. Pull the belly button in, the groin. The belly lifts, shoulders soften, eyes and jaw rest, and release the left leg back down. From here, if the hands come back under the thighs, lift up through the chest. You can also do the same thing and work just from being here. This can be a lot of work because what happens, you'll notice it sort of pitched me behind the sitting bones. So maybe you work here, or to be slightly more Evel Knievel, you could be here, squeezing the block between the heels. I feel this way up into the adductors, and as I lift the groin, the belly, and the chest, you could even start to rock back and try to lift the block. So that's kind of mean and nasty, and release the block back down. So we'll go ahead and do another round. So again, the feet are flexed, toes are still spread out, so we're firing up all the connective tissue in the legs. Tall spine, again, hands can be back. Lift up through the chest, inhale. And on the exhale, lift that right leg. So again, the work isn't actually in the arms. The arms are kind of holding the thighs to keep us lifted in the lower back. Maybe we roll back and lift the left leg. Good, tall spine here. If you want to release the hands, they can go forward. And then maybe they can come up, knees and thighs. Ooh, Elvis is in the building, got some good shakes going on, and gently release. So from here, we can bring the heels not towards the pelvis, but towards each other. So this gently big diamond shape, and we find a squeeze in the heels, squeeze in the ball of the foot. Wow, that's not a word. Squeeze in the heels, squeeze in the ball of the feet, and we'll fold forward. And then kind of notice what's happening in the shoulders, where the tension may be. And you can always walk your arms forward a little bit more. Just giving yourself the option to soften here. And then squeeze the heels, lift the groin, lift the belly, lift your chest. We'll come back up. And then this one, we're going to keep the heels on the ground this time. And we're going to create an isometric hold between the leg and the hand. So we'll cross body, left hand to the right knee. Now, elbow may be bent, or if you feel better sliding the hand down the calf muscle, that's fine too. So we engage the groin, we lift the belly, we lift the chest, squeeze the core in, squeeze the knee to the hand. And you'll really start to feel that fire up across the left oblique as we're still lifting, getting long through the spine. Maybe that right arm goes out, but we're not creating a twist. We're creating the work. Lift the groin, lift the belly, lift the chest. Gently switch arms. Right hand to the inside of that left knee or shin. See what one feels better, where it feels better in your body. We're pulling the belly in and up. Squeeze the left leg and the right hand together. Maybe the arm goes back. Maybe the whole arm goes back. Big inhale here. And gently release. Once again, we can bring the soles of the feet out, knees out. You could even bring your heels onto the block. That one actually feels kind of nice. It's a bit trickier if you're super tight in the lower back. You might feel like it's knocking you over. So if you want to have the feet on the floor, please do. And then just let the body rest forward. One thing in forward folds is really check into what your arms are doing. Sometimes it feels better if there's a sense of support of the shoulder. So that's actually better when the elbow is right below the knee, the shoulder. But when we go forward or off to the side, it's very softening. It's very yummy, in my opinion, between the shoulder blades. It's nice for the rhomboids. Good. And then inhale, belly is in and firm, and we come back up to seated. And then this time, we'll go ahead and you can either have the heels up on the block. Again, that's going to make it a little bit more challenging. I'll show you that one. If you're working with any spinal muscular elements, really be careful on the twist. If opening and twisting open does not feel good, stay here. There's so much work happening building the strength in the spinal muscles that this is great. If you'd like to twist open, that's what I'll show you. Squeeze the right thigh inward, left arm squeezes. They're really working hard together. Groin, belly, chest lifts. Right arm can open back. And then those left lower ribs start to move around the spine. You can hear it in my voice. It's a lot of work. Belly lifts, chest lifts. And we inhale back to center. Right hand to the inside of the left knee or shin. Inhale up, squeeze and engage that connection. And then slowly start to reach back. And then the lower ribs, those right lower ribs, squeeze around to that left side of the body, and we inhale back to center. So from here, we're going to take the block, come back onto your back. We'll find the knees and feet about mat width apart and just rock the legs from side to side. We'll go back and forth here a couple of times. You might find some big heat and tightness in those hip flexors, that they are definitely needing some space, so we'll get into those next. Good. And then from here, we can take a block or your cushion, and we'll head towards bridge. So I'll show you in the passive version. You lift up through the pelvis and place the block right underneath the sacrum. And then adjust the shoulders towards each other. Please make sure that your cervical spine, your neck vertebrae, are not grinding into the mat. You actually want them to be off the mat as much as possible. So you do that by rooting down through the upper arm and then squeezing the shoulders towards each other. And that creates a little lift, almost a bridge for the neck. From here, you can have your feet hips distance apart. And then allow this to be a passive experience. From here, though, if you want a bit more work for the core and the rest of the body, you could make this active by pressing down into the feet, lifting the pelvis towards the ceiling, and really sending the hip bones towards the knees, the lower ribs up and over the crown of the head as you receive all this opening across the neck and shoulders. From here, you could even put your fingertips onto the hip points to make sure the pelvis is balanced. We have a tendency to have a stronger side, so sometimes that stronger side pulls the alignment out of the way, or it readjusts our alignment. So we're always trying to find that tender balance with alignment, strength, flexibility, and balance. Big inhale here. And wherever you are, you can lower back towards the block. If you're on the block already, we'll meet you there for 3 rounds of breath here before we find a little bit of space in the front body, in the hips and the quads. So soften the jaw, soften the face. And from here, we'll heel toe the feet a little closer towards each other, not touching, but just a little closer. And then slide, flex that right foot and slowly slide that right heel away from you. And you'll start to feel this big stretch across the quad and the hip flexor. You might find too that the leg kind of faints to the side. Turn those toes upward. And again, big inhales and exhales across the chest. Soften the jaw and the face, pressing that right heel away. And one more breath here. We'll slowly bend the knee, slide the right leg back in, and draw the right leg straight up over that right hip. So there's a couple things happening. Left foot's rooting to help keep that right leg up there. And at the same time, we're dropping the pelvis to the block.
You can roll that right ankle again if you want to change direction a couple of times. And then we'll bend that right knee. Let the right ankle rest on the left knee and allow that right knee to flop open. So some of us may not feel this. Some of us may be like, whoa, that's a big stretch. Tender. Be gentle here. No force. You don't want the body biting back. Just letting yourself kind of notice here what's happening through the experience in that right hip, but most importantly, the rhythm of the breath guiding you through. And then gently replace that right foot to the floor. Good. And then from here, we'll slowly slide the left leg forward. And please stop at any point if you bump into a place where you're like, ooh, that's too much. Don't force. If you can flex the foot, spread the toes out, and kind of feel here, maybe exaggerate a little bit. Notice what it feels like if you turn your toes out to the left, what it feels like if you turn your toes inward, and then finding that Goldilocks alignment of the toes right up to the ceiling. And then checking into softening through the shoulders. Big breath in, slow breath out to settle the nervous system even more here. And again, if you feel any shaking or intensity, it may just be elements releasing. You might find that you kind of realize you're a little more stressed or concerned or in a more engaged nervous system state than you thought you were. So really be gentle there when we start to see how easy sometimes it is to dysregulate within the nervous system. It can be very powerful, and sometimes the blame or shame game starts in the mind, and that's normal but very unnecessary, and definitely one of those things that our practice can shine a light on to remind us to be gentle with ourselves first, most importantly. And let's slide that left leg back in a little bit. Here we go. We're going to take it up to the ceiling. Good. Roll it around a couple of times. Just notice, again, all the while that root happening down through the sacrum into the block or the cushion or the rolled up blanket. And then let's take that left heel across the right knee and let that left knee drop open gently. Big inhale across the chest. Noticing your jaw. Softening the muscles of the eyes. One more big round of breath here. And then gently release the left foot back to the floor. And a big breath here as we balance back into a neutral, passive spine in bridge. And then one last little moment here before our twist. Pull the knees towards you. Now, if you feel a little wobbly on the sacrum on the block, you might want to bring your feet down and adjust the sacrum onto the block and then lift and take the legs up as high as they'll go. And then see as you rest here what the legs need you to do to find stillness. So this is a sort of middle of the room version of legs up the wall. So the idea here is there's no work. If you feel a lot of work taking the legs up like this, then maybe go to the wall, maybe try the wall. Or if you are near your couch, go ahead and come out of this and take your legs onto the couch and allow that like 90 degree, it would look kind of like this without the block though, spine flat, legs on the couch. And you may find that that's like a great way to spend the end of our practice in stillness for Shavasana. If your legs are up, we'll go ahead and bring them down. Plant them firmly. Take a big inhale. On the exhale, press into the feet. Lift your pelvis gently, slightly. Slide the block out of the way. And bring your spine to a nice flat position. So we were there for a while. So it might feel a little odd. It might feel like someone else's back in the moment. Adjust, lengthen the spine. And then I invite you to find whatever twist feels good. So, for example, a passive twist could be the feet wide, just letting the knees fall to one side. So that's kind of gentle for the lower back. It's good for the abdominal area. You could take your left arm over the head and bring all that attention into the left lung. Stay here if you prefer the passive version. If you would like a more dynamic twist, you can take your left leg over the right leg and then heel toe that right foot a bit across the center line. Hips bounce to the left a tiny bit. And then gently release. Got a nice adjustment out of that one. Release the knees to the right. And same thing with the left arm, but there'll be more of the spine involved in this second version, in this more active version. But same idea here. Try to set the legs up so there's no work that they have to do, so that even in the deeper twist, it becomes a more passive experience. And wherever you are, however deep you're into the pose, deep inhales and exhales. Softening the jaw, the face, and the eyes. And really noticing here if the body can rest to the earth, if the earth can do the work of supporting the body here. To come out of the pose, squeeze the belly, firm the belly, squeeze the thighs together, roll back onto your back, and you're going to feel a little cattywampus. So straighten yourself back out. And then if you are in the passive twist, same thing. Belly firms, knees come back up. Passive twist, knees just go straight to the left. Right arm goes over the head. Active twist, we can go ahead and cross that right leg over the left leg. Heel toe the left foot to the right a little bit. Hips bounce a tiny bit to the right. And we drop the knees to the left. And notice if that left shoulder needs to slide out a bit. Sometimes on this left side, I need to kind of help my scapula kind of move across the back. And then we drop the knees to the left. So big inhales and exhales here. Right arm can reach to its most delicious extent. Maybe the gaze turns to the right, away from the knees. And from here, we'll take 2 more rounds of breath. And then set yourself up for the most delicious expression of rest that you can come up with. So maybe think about the bolster or the blankets or the pillows underneath the back of your knees. That's a really nice way to support the body. And we can roll back onto the back again. Straighten out the spine. And then I invite you, like I said, to either have your legs on the bolster or on the blocks or the cushions or the blanket, whatever you need. And I'm a big fan of knees bent onto a bolster and then getting all the wiggling and squiggling and flopping around out of the way, so you can then settle in to stillness. And while you're here, notice what serves you the most. Maybe releasing the eyes, so that they rest softly closed. Or maybe allowing the eyes to remain open and still on one point that's not moving. You may find that a big inhale to inflate the belly and a long, slow exhale settles the system as it drops into a parasympathetic nervous system experience, our body's natural ability to find rest. If thinking mind feels very active here and engaging, that's okay. Ask yourself, where along the mechanism of your breathing do you feel it the most? So that takes a little contemplation. Do you feel it in the nose, the mouth, the rise and fall of the belly? Or maybe the passage of the breath behind the notch at the base of your throat. And when you find that space where you feel your breath the most, gather all of your awareness there and witness it. Then you'll notice all of the sounds around you, all of the thoughts and emotions that move across the movie screen of the mind. You might notice any images that attach to those thoughts and emotions and ideas. And all the while here, allow yourself to rest to the deepest support of the floor below you. You might notice the points at the back of your body where you feel the floor supporting you. You may feel how the gentle softness of your resting body is supported by the firmness of the floor. If any of your senses, thoughts, or emotions, or images start to wander off and you start to follow them, that's perfectly fine. That's very normal. Allow yourself to be tender when you notice that you've wandered. And slowly come back to that one pointed focus and concentration of feeling your breath. Coming back to the present moment experience of now. And you may find that you come back to that focus again and again, maybe 100 times. And that's okay. There's no wrong way to do this. There's no wrong way to be here. There's no wrong way to be you. So allow yourself to rest here, cradled by the firm support of the earth below you. Just witnessing this tender softness of the whole body resting, of thinking mind gently softening back too. We'll take the next minute or two here in silence, just resting, softening, and releasing. And very gently here, just notice this pattern of your body breathing itself, the softness of the body at rest, and thinking mind gently softening too. You might find it helpful to slowly blink your eyes open again while the whole body remains in stillness, almost as if you're imprinting this felt experience of your body at stillness onto thinking mind as it incorporates all of the colors and textures, shapes and movements that it's noticing. You might want to find little movements in the fingers and toes, ankles and wrists, and draw a deep inhale into the belly and the rib cage, and a gentle, slow exhale here as you come back to a more awake, alert, and ultimately eyes open state of awareness. And then slowly make your way to a comfortable seated position. Be gentle with your spine, with the movement of your body in the moment. If you'd like, you can bring hands to prayer position, thumbs at the breastbone. And thank yourself for your practice, for all of your focus, energy, and attention. If you'd like, you can bring thumbs to the forehead in a gentle reminder of clear thought. Thumbs to the lips in gentle reminder of right speech. And thumbs back to the heart for pure heart. Namaste. Have a beautiful rest of your day.